my brain trying to keep me alive, and I'm running.
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Dane. You might recognize me from my previous radio show, The Art Show on Wickham Sound. We ran for about 6 years. We started just as COVID was kicking in 2020, March 2020. I think my first ever art show was supposed to be broadcast from the studio the week that we went into the first ever lockdown. And we pushed it back for a week. I started recording from home. Never went into the studio in the end. I just ended up recording the whole thing from home. Did that for about 6 years. And I felt like it was about time for a change. We've spoken to pretty much everybody I know involved in the local creative arts scene. Many of them we've spoken to twice, actually. And I myself, I've changed a lot as a person over the last 6 years. I still make music. I still write. I am still involved in the art scene myself. I don't really go out anymore, especially in the evenings. I don't drink, so I don't spend as much time in the pubs going to open mics and things like that. So, it's been an interesting couple of years trying to keep the art show going without too much to really talk about. And also, again, because I pre-record my shows, by the time I found out about events that were coming up, it was too late to include them and all of that stuff. So I've arrived at the decision that it's time for a change. It is time for a new show. And that brings us to what you're currently listening to today. So this is episode 1, the pilot episode of Bucks on Foot, spelled Bucks on foot, as in Buckinghamshire on foot. I have become a very keen runner, as a lot of you who know me know. We actually had a few runners on the art show because, again, I was running short of guests, no pun intended. So this is going to keep happening, that same pun over and over again, isn't it? So, I thought it was about time for a change. I wanted to do something that reflects who I am more as a person now, without boring everybody to death just by talking about running all the time, because trust me, I can fill an hour a week just by talking about running. I'm going to try and make it slightly more interesting than that. We are going to have some of the sort of old stuff knocking around as well. Hopefully it'll be a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging. We're not going to have repeats of shows as often. We're not going to have just big chunks of me reading excerpts from the latest thing I'm writing and things like that. You don't need that with Bucks on Foot. So yes, the idea is essentially I'm going to talk each week about my adventures out and about in High Wycombe and the surrounding areas. I've actually, at the time of writing, I've just finished something called City Strides, which basically it links up the streets that you've ran on through your Strava and whatnot. And then it ties that in with the Ordnance Survey maps, and you can see all of the streets you've been along, all the ones you haven't. And I've just finished doing the Wycombe area, which is a very weird... I don't know how they figure it out, really, because the Wycombe area, it stretches as far north as Prince's Risborough. To the east, it only just reaches Beaconsfield. To the west, goes all the way over to Stokenchurch, Bledlow Ridge, all of that side. And then down south, you've got all of Marlow, and then almost to Henley. So it's a big old area. It's about 515 miles of roads. It took me about over a year to do all of that. I'm still running in and around Wycombe, but I'm also broadening my scope a little bit. I mean, not by too much. Spoiler alert, today we are going to be mostly talking about... Oh, God, where are we talking about? Where is it that I've been going? Prestwood. That's what I'm thinking. So Prestwood, despite being a lot closer than some of the other areas that I've already done for my city strides, I haven't done all of those streets yet, and it obviously is quite easy to get to, quite nearby. So I've been running around Prestwood. So we're going to use Prestwood as the example for this, the pilot episode. I'm going to let you know a little bit about what you can expect. We are still going to have local unsigned independent music, because I want to do my best to support, it's all about supporting the local area, really. So when I can play local music, I'm going to. What I'm going to try and do is, I have so much local music, and I tend to always default to playing the same songs, because they're songs that I really like. But what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to institute a rule where I try not to repeat anything as much as possible. So that should keep us going for a good few episodes while I try not to repeat anything. Everything's going to be a little bit running themed as well. I might mess around with the order. Again, this is very much a pilot episode to see how it works. Also to pitch to the bosses at Wickham Sound and hope that they let me do this show. But yes, we are going to have a lot of different sections that are all going to relate to the idea of races, really. Now, the idea of Books on Foot is it's places you can explore on foot in Buckinghamshire. I run, obviously. There's a lot of walkers. Walking is perfectly allowed. I will put up with cyclists. We have runners and cyclists tend to have a friendly rivalry. And then, obviously, there are the triathletes who do swimming as well, who, you know... This is supposed to be something that everybody can enjoy. It is kind of told through the lens of me running about, but we'll be talking about things such as, these are the different sections. We are still going to have Twangling Jack Ford over in the Oak Shed with his weekly album review. The idea being that there is, you want an album to listen to while you're out on your walks or your runs. So Dave will have or Twangling Jack Ford, should I say? I think I've just outed his pseudonym. He will have a weekly album review for us still. I will be talking about what podcasts I've been listening to, because I tend to listen to podcasts while I'm running. So it will be a little bit of a podcast recommendation, but otherwise, if I just did a podcast recommendation, we'd be repeating the same podcast each time. So it's also going to be what I've learned from the podcasts. We are going to have landmarks, so some of the places that I've been and that I've seen during my running. The routes, so whereabout I've been running. What's happening in those areas. So again, spoiler alert, Presswood. There's going to be some Presswood stuff coming up. We're going to talk about kit, so a piece of gear, an app that's worth using, again, whether you're a runner, whether you're a walker, whether you're just exploring the local area, something I think you should hear about. We are going to have what I'm calling race numbers. So this relates to when you start a race, you get given a race number. It's got your name on it. And I've got a notification from Google. Thank you, Google. Yes, also this is going to be a lot more off the cuff and not planned out. Well, I've got some notes, but it's not going to be scripted out or anything as much as the show normally is. Although I will try and mute the notifications, I guess. But yeah, so we'll have people's stories. The idea is hopefully that we will have a story each. Okay, we'll just pretend that didn't happen. So the idea is we'll hopefully have a story from a different runner each week. Again, I know lots of runners. I'd like to speak about what got them into running, what they enjoy about it, and where they've been exploring recently. But equally, there's always stuff in the news about some absolute nutcases ran a sub 2 hour marathon at the London Marathon, for example. We will also have what I'm going to call the water station. It's equivalent to a water cooler. That will just be local stuff, people's news and or gossip, anything that people would like to share. Rather than me trying to set up interviews with people and finding a time that works for everybody and then having to edit all these interviews down, and sometimes we miss each other or we have tech issues and whatnot, I'm hopefully going to be setting up a number that you can just call and you can just leave like essentially a voicemail message, and I'll be able to share your news. Again, whether you're an event promoter in the area, whether you're doing some fundraising, you might be doing a run or a walk. You might just want to tell us what you're enjoying about Wickham and the surrounding areas at the moment. I'll probably try and have a kind of a prompt for everybody as well. And we are also probably going to have some little jingles. We're going to have some other bits like food and nutrition. It's all very, very exciting, as you can tell. As part of all of this as well, you will be able to still reach out to me by dropping me an email on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. As always, I'm particularly keen to hear from performers, poets, musicians, people with MP3s, etc. People who would like to share their running stories, just get in touch. I will send you more information about how you can get involved. And we do now have a brand new Facebook page called Books on Foot. And if you go to facebook.com/Books on Foot. I will do an Instagram as well, Books on Foot, @Books on Foot. And we'll be sharing kind of previews about what's coming up on the show, but also just some nice photos taken out and about while on foot in Buckinghamshire. So let's have a bit of music, and then I will come back to you with one of our segments. So, yeah, music. I suppose it makes sense to go with what has become the theme tune of this show, essentially, which is a song called Running by myself, Dane Cobain, because obviously you're not sick of my voice yet, so enjoy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I run because I like the buzz it gives to me. I run because I'm haunted by my memories. I run because I'm not the man I used to be. I run because like nothing else it sets me free. I run because the lies I told are catching up. I run because it's cold outside and I'm warming up. I run because it stops my lungs from giving up. I run because and that's enough. Gotta put one foot in front of the other. I'm dying inside and I'll never recover. There's something in my shoe and there's something in my eye. There's something in my brain trying to keep me alive. And I'm running, 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 running away from that which brings me down. And I'm running, 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 running away from that which brings me round. I run because I like to cause myself pain. I run because like others I am insane. I run because my spirit is a freight train. I run because it feels good in the rain.
right, that was Running by myself, Dane Cobain. You are listening to the very first episode of Books on Foot here on Wickham Sound, or possibly wherever you get your podcasts. And we're going to head over to one of our various bits and bobs of new show segments. We'll go to the water station. So let's do that.
Freeze! I'm thirsty. I said freeze! Just getting a drink.
So for this week's water station, hydration station, you could call it a little bit, I just want to share some news. I want to share a shout out to Beehive on the High Street, Sean and Ali. They recently put on a concert there. I believe their duo Grace Note played. But basically, the reason I want to shout it out is because they raised a bunch of money for my employers, Wickham Homeless Connection, and also for MNDA, the Motor Neurone Disease Association. Two fantastic causes. All of the feedback I've heard was that it was an excellent night as well. And yes, that is my little bit of water cooler gossip for today. It may already be aged by the time it comes out. But yes, hopefully future shows, we will have some gossip from people who aren't me. In fact, if you want to share some news, let me know by email, dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. All right, I'm not going to bother with a sound effect for the start of this section because I think they'll quickly get annoying as well. But I would like to share a runner story, and I'm going to go actually back to a previous chat on the Arts Show. We chatted to the legendary Bob Yates, who he was on the show because he was running over the period of about 6 weeks. He ran from Land's End to John O'Groats. And we talked a little bit about why he got into running, but also he shared his tip on what keeps him going when, you know, his feet are hurting, which I think is pretty relevant to when we're out and about walking around Bucks, whether we're walking, running, cycling, even driving. Sometimes driving, my feet hurt.
And the one thing you haven't asked me about, which actually I think is quite a good thing, is how do I do all this running without going bonkers? You know, without thinking, you know, I need to stop, because obviously it's a really tough, or it can be exceedingly tough if you're at the end of a 10, or should I say, so my 100 miler, as I said, I wasn't the fastest. It took me just under 28 hours. So I'm running consistently for just under 28 hours. What do I do? How do I feed the part of my brain which always tells me that I can't do stuff and that actually I should stop because this is stupid? We all have that inner voice. And for me, it's music.
Yeah.
My brothers brought me up on Thin Lizzy. Whether I liked it or not, it was always in the house. And there was one occasion when I was running and I was feeling quite stressed. I tend to do mental maths with, I've gone this far, I've got this far to go. Now, I'd just done 26 miles. I'd got another 13 miles to go, actually another 18 miles to go. And this little voice was starting to shout at me, you know, 18 miles, how are we going to do that? Because we're really tired. I don't see how we can do this. Come on, we should give up. And I thought, okay, well, I'll try audiobook. That didn't work. Podcast, that didn't work. And I put on some Thin Lizzy, and instantly I felt my stress levels dropping. Yeah. And it was almost, so the conclusion I've come to, it's almost like an adult lullaby. And I'm thinking, well, actually, if I've got that, and whenever I have a tough session, whenever things get tough when I'm running, I put on Thin Lizzy. It turns off that voice, because that voice starts listening to Thin Lizzy. As I said, it's a soundtrack of my youth. I'm sure we've all got something like that. And actually, it's an interesting thing for me to discover about myself. And I'm sure that if some people, you know, some of the listeners think about that, they'll all have their own version of that to be able to quieten that voice when they need to be a little bit stronger than they perhaps feel at the time.
Check this out.
All right, I appreciate it's a bit of a stretch to go from Thin Lizzy to Run DMC, but we are moving on to our kit recommendation. As I said at the beginning, this is to chat about a piece of gear or some technology or just like a bit of clothing that's going to make your life a lot easier or more enjoyable when you're out and about in Wickham, especially when you're discovering it on foot. And I want to shout out the Merlin app, which I believe is developed by like Cornell University, so some real tech nerds. And it's basically, it is it's like a bird. It's a cross between Pokemon Go and a bird identification app. So you like record some audio from your phone or whatever, and it then tells you what birds are around as well. I'll give you a little bit of an example here. This was recorded by my partner Shay. I think this was recorded just by Wickham Arts Centre as well. So you can get away with using it in the middle of town, and you will find birds. So yes, you can record a little bit of audio, something a bit like this. All right, so we're going to go away from this tranquil bird sound now for me to talk over this and to tell you what you're listening to. But basically, it uses AI and all of that stuff, and then it flags which birds it can pick up. So in this clip, there is a European goldfinch, a European robin, house sparrow, Eurasian wren, and even a red kite as well. The app will also tell you what you can expect, what is theoretically going to be around in the area. It's got a bird of the day for you to look out for, and you can save all of your recordings and basically create like a life list where it will allow you to tick off when you've heard birds. So I've been getting quite competitive with my family now to try and hear more birds than they can. My mum does a lot of recording at the bottom of her garden, but I've been out running through Bradnam Woods and things. So if you're out and about in the countryside, Hewenden is great for it. You can get some great birds at the Rye as well. I mean, I'm not far from Morrison's, pretty much bang in the middle of town, and I get a few birds as well, depending on the time of day. Obviously, if there's lots of traffic, all your phone can hear is the traffic. But yeah, it's the Merlin app. It's available for free on iOS, presumably on Android as well. It's spelled like Merlin, as in the wizard. And definitely check it out. It's a must-have if you're going to spend a lot of time exploring Wickham and the surrounding areas, just to see what wildlife's out there. All right, some more music, and this is Lunar Seas with Aphasia Majora. Check it out. All right, that was Aphasia Majora by Luna Seas. You are listening to Books on Foot. This is the pilot episode. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. You're listening to this on Wickham Sound or possibly on the podcast catch-up, because remember, we are on there as well. And now this is the bit that I've been looking forward to, because I get to nerd out about where I've been running and what I've seen as well. In fact, I think we've got a little jingle, not a jungle. It's definitely not jungle.
What's happening?
I've accidentally run to Windsor.
What?
Yeah, I've mistakenly run to Windsor.
All right, so as I mentioned, I didn't accidentally run to Windsor, at least not this week. I have been running around Prestwood as part of my attempt to tick off some more city strides. I don't know Prestwood that well. I mean, the whole area, to be fair, I've lived a very sheltered life until recently when I've started going out and finding places. So I want to talk a little bit about what I've discovered is on in Prestwood, because I think there's some pretty cool stuff coming up. At least one of them I'm hopefully going to take part in. As I was walking around Prestwood, the first thing I saw is that Prestfest 2026 is happening on Saturday the 20th of June on Prestwood Common. There's going to be lots of live music from some tribute acts. So we've got the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters Forever. Bitterroot are going to be there. In fact, maybe we'll play some Bitterroot later, because they've been on the art show back when that was on there. There's going to be food and drinks, including Mind's Eye Brewing Co. Not that I drink. Zinc are going to be there doing their Caribbean food. You might have seen them on the high street. I've also ran past their van in Prince's Risborough at the Bell. I didn't know they were there, so I just ran past and they happened to be there, which is very nice. Teas, cakes, coffee, etc. There are going to be some craft stalls, tombola, funfair children's rides, and a grand raffle draw as well. And it is free admission as well. So that's Prestfest 2026 on Prestwood Common. And I'm sure if you just Google Prestfest 2026, you'll be able to find out more. Another thing I saw that sounds really interesting, around about the same time, Friday the 26th of June, this is the Midnight Dream Walk. This is obviously absolutely perfect for a show like this one. Books on Foot, there you go. So the Midnight Dream Walk is a 6-mile walk from Great Missenden Memorial Centre. It's in aid of the Thomas Ball Children's Cancer Fund. Friday 26th of June, starts at midnight. You've got a fair old while. I think it's planned to go until 4 a.m. if it needs to. And registration forms are available from the Sweet Charity Shop in Prestwood. You can email tomballcharity@aol.com or send a text to 07766 050 216 if you want to find out more about that. Also, if you just Google Midnight Dream Walk, Great Missenden, you will be able to find out a little bit more about that. There is a form that you can fill out to take part. I believe it's £15. That gets you your high vis, some snacks, some hot drinks, all of your support along the way, and a very snazzy certificate at the end as well. So my partner Shay and I might well be taking part in that. It sounds very cool. I also learned a little bit about Prestwood Nature Reserve, and by a little bit about, I mean I learned that it's there. My running route hasn't taken me through there yet, so I may well take a closer look at it at another one. Again, I've got to go back to Prestwood a bunch of times to tick off some more city strides, so I don't want to jump the gun and tell you everything there is to know about Prestwood. I will let you know that I've learned that the name Prestwood is Anglo-Saxon. It originally means priestwood. It was settled in the Middle Ages, and there are buildings like Hatcher's Farm that date from the medieval period. Yes, I'm finding this on Wikipedia. You can find a lot about our local areas on Wikipedia, so I would recommend that out. As I say, I will hopefully find out a little bit more about the nature reserve as well. If you want to let me know a bit about your thoughts of Prestwood, your experiences there, your history with the area, let me know. I would love to know so that I can share with other people. And if you do fancy checking it out, it is a good place to go around on foot. There's a lot of cool stuff there, so doesn't even have scary roads. It's great. All right, I've absolutely shot myself in the foot here, because this is the bit of the show where we're going to be talking about an event, etc. And I've just talked about the Midnight Walk, which could well have been this week's event shout out. I suppose there's no reason why I can't give it another shout out closer to the time. But also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Marlow 5, which is organised by Handy Cross Runners, which is one of my running clubs. At the time of recording this episode, it was the weekend just gone, the 10th of May, which should give you a good idea of how far ahead I'm approximately recording these shows. And it was just a fantastic day. It's always a good day out, and definitely a race to get involved in. And what's great about it is there are people of all abilities there. I mean, the fastest runner, the winner overall, I think he did about 25 minutes to do 5 miles, which is insane. But equally, at the other end, we have walkers as well. It's a very accessible race, raises some money for some great charities. We mentioned the Motor Neuron Disease Association earlier because of the show that Beehive in town put on to raise some money for them. And actually, they were the charity of choice for the Marlow 5 as well. I don't have any figures yet for how much money was raised, but I do know it was probably quite a lot, because it normally does raise a decent amount of money each year. A little bit colder this year than it was last year. Last year was possibly too hot. My role there is to marshal, which is always fun. But I do put it in your diaries, a date in your diaries. It's a 5-mile road race through Marlow. Great course, lots of fun, well marshalled, well supported. Happens every year, early May. And so if you're not a runner, or if you're a walker but fancy taking on an event that's walk friendly, chuck that in your diary and get training. You've got a year to get ready. So that's the Marlow 5, cracking little event. So yeah, check it out. All right, and in honour of Bitterroot, who are playing at Prestfest, I still struggle to say that. But in honour of them, anyway, here is their version of All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix / Bob Dylan. Well, it's by Bob Dylan, but I think their version's more the Hendrix version. It's more the Bitterroot version, to be honest. Anyway, Bitterroot, All Along the Watchtower. If you enjoy this, check them out at Prestfest in June.
The Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion. I can get no relief.
that was All Along the Watchtower by Bitterroot. You are listening to Books on Foot here on Wickham Sound or on your podcast platform, of course. Remember that Bitterroot will be playing at Pressed Fest as well in June, so do go check those guys out. You can find them on Facebook and all of that good stuff. We're going to head over to a section now that I'm calling Thank You Marshall, which is dedicated to Parkrun. So Parkrun is a free weekly timed 5k event. They're all over the country, including here all the way throughout Bucks. The great thing about Parkrun, you can sign up once and then you can go to any parkrun anywhere in the country or even outside of the country. But also they do put a heavy emphasis on walking. They're actually park walkers. There are tail walkers as well, so you'll never be last whether you're running, whether you are walking. And it's a great way to discover new places in Buckinghamshire. I do a lot of parkrun tourism, so I go to one I haven't been to before, check out the parkrun, and then you can go around and have a look around the nearby area afterwards as well. So basically, this part of the show, I'm just going to talk about one that I have visited. And the most recent one I visited was called Millennium Country Parkrun. It was in the, what's it called? The Forest of Vale? Is that a thing? It was over near Bedford. So I guess Bedfordshire rather than Buckinghamshire. But over near Bedford, Milton Keynes way. It was a really beautiful place. It was essentially a nature reserve as well. Very cheap parking, great cafeteria there as well, so you can get a nice breakfast, a vegan breakfast if you would like, totally up to you. But yes, lots of really good stuff there to go and have a look around. The course was an out and back, so you sort of go out about 2.5 kilometers and then come back through the woods essentially, which is my kind of course. And as well as having, the course itself was lovely, you can then go and have a wider walk around this much bigger area there that you can go and visit. But they also have a very cool little gift shop, and I picked up a bird box that was made by one of their volunteers. They have a whole sort of section of different bird boxes. £12 for a handmade bird box with all of the proceeds going to charity. I thought that was a great deal, and I've now bought that for my mum for her birthday. Hopefully she's not listening to the show. I don't think she is. And yeah, I think she'll love it because again, she's been doing the bird thing with Merlin. So yeah, definitely worth a visit if you fancy going to a park run. That's a little bit further away. It's probably just over an hour's drive, depending upon whether you take the motorway or not. I tend to just wind my way through the countryside because I like to discover things, books on wheels. So yes, that is a park run to chat about. Another thing that we're going to have, but I'm running out of time and effort to make jingles, so maybe we'll have some more jingles coming in the foreseeable future. But I also want to recommend some food. Basically, it's you got to have some food, some snacks as you're going. So for my food recommendation this week, I am going to take you all the way back to at least the 2010s, but really we're probably talking about 1972. Before air fryers were a thing, the big gadget that people wanted was slow cookers. And I tell you what, a slow cooker combined, if you can get yourself a smart plug, those things are incredible. I've been making tons of stews, soups, curries in mine. And I've got a smart plug so that when I'm over at work and I know I'm about to head home, or even when I'm out on a run or a walk or wherever I am, if I know I'm going to be back in about 45 minutes, an hour, and I've got all the stuff in the slow cooker, I can turn it on, heat it all up, and it's ready as I come in through the doorway. In particular, I would recommend making a tikka masala. So I just made a tofu tikka masala, and it was super simple to make. I had basically just some cubed tofu, but again, you could use, I'm vegan, so I'm not going to recommend using meat, but you could if you wanted to. You could use a meat alternative. You could use veggies as well, so cauliflower works pretty well in it as well. Aubergine just works well in everything, and courgette as well. But yeah, super simple to make. Get whatever you're going to use. So again, for me, it was tofu. Throw in, I did a chopped onion, 3 cloves of garlic, just finely minced, a tin of chopped tomatoes, then about maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons if you're feeling fancy of garam masala if you've got it, or if not, just curry powder. I did a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of turmeric as well, a bit of salt and pepper in there, a little bit of tomato puree, and then cooked all of that off. And then about an hour before serving it, I stirred in some plant-based yogurt, about 150 milliliters of that. And I also just got one of those like packs of microwave rice and stirred all that in as well. And it was perfect. So, yeah, I mean, I have like just a little 2.5 litre one. I think I got it for about a tenner from Morrison's. Not that I'm #not sponsored, but if you want something super easy to make, I think it took me about 10-15 minutes at most to prep all of the ingredients, shove them there in the slow cooker, turn it on and forgot about it. And then, as I say, you can just turn it on and off with a smart plug if you've got one. Especially if you've got like an Alexa or something like that. So that is my food recommendation for this week. Okay, so when you are out and about on foot in books, or on books on foot, but on foot in books works better as a sentence, I suppose. If you're like me, you can't you can't function in silence. You need something to listen to. Now, if you are like Twangling Jack Ford, our album reviewer, you might like to listen to an album. So I can't wait to give Twangling Jack, in fact, Dave, who is Twangling Jack, I know you're listening to this. Please, could you make me an approximately 15-second jingle that I can play ahead of your album reviews, please? You know, Twangling Jack in the Ilk Shed, but more Twangling Jack. And yes, so we will see what Dave is recommending for us to listen to while we're out and about.
Youth by Sonic Youth, a CD I bought from the British Heart Foundation shop in Marlow for £1. Something on Facebook or YouTube suggested I listen to Sugarcane by Sonic Youth. I was impressed by what I heard, and I went to see if it was on the CD I had bought the day before from a charity shop. It was, and there is no way that could be the work of an algorithm. It had to be fate. This album came out in 1992, and it was produced by Butch Vig, who had produced Nirvana's Nevermind, and he produced Garbage. It is quite an easy listen in a noisy, shouty kind of way. It is a bit like their 80s classic Daydream Nation, but then that is really the only other Sonic Youth album I am really familiar with. In some indefinable way, on an album that sounds very much like Sonic Youth, Sugarcane still stands out from the rest of the album. The album has all the Sonic Youth trademarks of fast, punky, catchy songs, interweaving guitar lines, and sections of pure pick-down-the-string speaker-ripping feedback noise. They are so good at noise that they can seem to make it tuneful. They use noise like synth-pop bands use stringy pads to fill out the sound. However, without the noise, I suspect they would be just another indie band. When the guitars are not being noisy, they are quite clear and not particularly distorted. None of them are great singers. There is a thing about girl singers, especially American ones, where they don't need to be able to sing well in order to succeed in putting a song across well. American girl singers do not even need to sing. Kim Gordon, the singing bass player, can talk a decent song, the accent being on the accent. Many of the songs are based on simple common chord changes, but sometimes they write something more complex. The song Chapel Hill is at times power pop, but goes through changes of style and pace. It is an album with drums that roll like thunder across the stereo pan. There is politics and sex, and there are explosions. What more could you want? Youth by Sonic Youth.
Alrighty, I've just noticed the app that I'm using. I'm using an app to connect my my phone to my computer, so I can use my phone as a microphone because I don't have a lot of my recording equipment anymore. and it misspells connected. It's missing the C. So a bit of behind the scenes chaos for you there. It was always going to be a bit chaotic with this first one of these episodes. Now, one last thing I do want to share with you guys, which will be a regular feature as well, is a podcast to listen to. So if you're a Twangling Jack, you're going to listen to an album while you're exploring books on foot. If you're like me, it's probably going to be a podcast. So I listen to quite a lot of podcasts, but what I've been really getting into recently is one called Proof. I listen to a lot of true crime. Now, Proof is a really interesting podcast. It's well produced and well researched. They actually go out all over the place to interview people. You know, they're not just sitting in front of their computer at home and doing a bit of research. They're actually going out and speaking to people. It's produced by a lawyer, I think a defense attorney, and a true crime producer, like TV producer, and it's into 3 seasons now. I'm currently just coming up towards the end of the 3rd season, which is called Murder at the Bike Shop. And what's interesting about Proof is it's all about the burden of proof, and it's all about wrongful convictions. And you know, I am a cynic, so a lot of the time when I hear, you know, oh, so and so got convicted but he didn't do it, I'm like, did he actually not do it? When you listen to Proof, it blows your mind how obvious it is that these people did not do it. I mean, well, I won't actually go into too many spoilers, but yes, there are some happy endings for some of the seasons. This season, not so much. The guy who is at the center of the case in this one, basically he passed away. He was wrongfully convicted of a murder that he didn't do, and he ended up getting cancer, and he was released on like compassionate grounds, and he had about 3 days of freedom after 25 years in jail, and then passed away. So this season is essentially about clearing his name, but also this it was a cold case unit in Kalamazoo. I can't remember which state that's in, but it's in a US state, and they had a 100% success rate of convicting people in cold cases where there had been no conviction. But basically they did that by some fairly nefarious ways, and it calls into question all of their convictions. And as you go throughout the season, you learn more and more about these convictions that they've got that probably shouldn't have happened. The evidence or lack thereof is astounding. I mean, even the police themselves, they saw the murder victim. He was seen with a blonde man with a brown car with square headlights. And the guy that they ended up convicting of it, he had black hair. He'd always had black hair. He drove like I think it was a Jeep or some sort of off-roader. It was black and it had round headlights. And then also they thought he was trying to cover up the crime that he did by repainting his car, but he was repainting it like very dark blue to black. And it's like, if he was trying to hide the color of his car, wouldn't he have done it a different color? He has an alibi. He has no motive. They investigated him originally and found him to be innocent, and then like 13 years later they convicted him based entirely on the fact that an ex-girlfriend of his said that he did it, an ex-girlfriend who had reason to not like him. So there's at least two other suspects that they've covered so far, with probably more coming throughout this season as well, who have much more motive and more evidence against them as well. So that is a podcast called Proof. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you're interested in true crime. And if you want something that's going to make your blood boil, you know, there was a while back, everyone got really into Making a Murderer with Stephen Avery and his nephew Brandon. And that was kind of seen as a miscarriage of justice. I mean, that was a lot less clear cut than the cases that the Proof team are looking into. Let's put it that way. So, I am conscious of time. I want to reiterate, this is a pilot episode. Bits and bobs will change. I have set up a thing now. So if you go to a website, it's called SpeakPipe, SPEAK pipe.com/books on foot. You can record a short audio clip that will then get sent through to me. So if you would like to let me know about anything that's happening in High Wycombe, please do that, and I will hopefully feature that in a future show. I would love to build up a library of people sharing that with me. Also, if you'd like to share any of your adventures, again, walking, running, routes that you would recommend, places that you would recommend checking out. It doesn't have to be long. It could just be, just have a little walk around the Rye. definitely let me know what what you would recommend doing in and around Buckinghamshire and Wickham in particular. You can email me here at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. And we are on Facebook now as well, on facebook.com/Bucks on Foot. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune. It is, alas, going to have to be quite a short one this week. And this is the incredible Clive Whitelock, well, as part of Occasionally David, with Agatha Christie. R.I.P. Clive, we miss you.
Agatha Christie came to tea. When she knocked on the door and asked for me. When she arrived at 3:10. When